Morning, Jonathan.
Morning, Gene. How's it going?
How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
That's good. So am I. It's a beautiful day here, and Jonathan, this excuse me, this session, we got a call, a question from someone who listened to one of our previous two TBD podcasts, and the question was, how did we ever get in this mess? No, it was really, how did we ever get to become syndication attorneys? And that's an interesting question. So I thought, if it's all right with you, I'm kind of springing this on you, but because it is TBD, right? I'm kind of springing it on you. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess I could go first since, my story is probably a little bit shorter than yours.
Go right ahead. I'm interested.
I mean, you've already heard how I learned about syndications and how I kind of got into this business. But for those that don't know me, I graduated law school in 2016, so I've only been an attorney for about 4 years now. I went to UCLA Law, and one of my favorite classes that I took there was actually, it wasn't even a law class. It was called Real Estate Financial Analysis. It was taught by a professor through the business school, actually. His name was Paul Habibi. But basically the class was about how to analyze a commercial real estate deal. So I don't know if anyone's taken like CCIM class, CI 101. It's basically that class, right, where you go through case studies for a commercial property, like an apartment complex. You calculate the net operating income, the expenses, and then you get the IRR, and that's how you analyze a commercial deal. And I thought the class was great. After I took that class, I was like, dude, I want to get my friends together. I want to, go out and buy an apartment complex. So we actually looked for a little bit to buy an apartment together. I didn't know it at the time, but that was a syndication, right? So when I met Eugene, I told you that story, and you were like, that's syndication. And I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. But kind of how I got to where I am now after, or I guess in law school, actually, I had a internship at a company called Patch of Land. They're a real estate crowdfunding website, right? So they do Rule 506C offerings. And that was really my first time, I guess, working in syndications. It's not really syndications. I guess it is a syndication, right? Even if you're doing a 506C, you're pulling together investors for the purpose of real estate. And I don't know where I'm going with this. Oh, no, sorry, I remember where I'm going with the story now. When I had that internship at Patch of Land, I worked for the general counsel, Amy Wan, at the time. And I guess they had hired your firm, Gene, right, to do some work for them. And that's how you guys met. And then when Amy left Patch of Land, she joined you guys. And then I graduated law school, and I needed a job. So Amy was like, hey, come with me, come work with me with Gene. These are great people. And that's how I met you, Gene. And, 4 years later, here I am doing syndications with, my friend and mentor, Gene Trowbridge. So.
And Amy went on to her own pastures, and we stuck together. And when we just formed Trowbridge Law Group, which was kind of a reorganization of where I had been for a long time before I became a partner with Jillian and Kim, you came with me, and that's cool. So let me ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
What does your work include? What do you do as a syndication lawyer?
Yeah. So, I mean, we start to finish for our clients. We set up the entity structure for them. So, usually we form 2 LLCs for our clients. The one LLC is the investment LLC that holds the property. And that's the one that all the investors are buying interest in. And then we also set up the manager LLC. And that's the one that the sponsor kind of controls and takes their fees and their distributions through. And then we also draft all the offering documents for our clients, so the PPM, private placement memorandum, the operating agreements for those LLCs that we form, and the subscription booklet, which is the contract that the investors sign and agree to invest in their deal. And throughout that process, I mean, obviously we're advising our clients on the securities laws, what they should and shouldn't be doing. A lot of talking with clients on the phone, a lot of emailing back and forth. But yeah, I mean that's the basics of what we do for our clients.
So did you have a course in law school on typing?
No, I didn't. I mean, I did take securities law actually, or securities regulation, and we learned about obviously like how we test, how and when a company becomes public, right? A public reporting company. I think we did actually cover Regulation D, but it was very, very brief, which is funny because when you look at the amount of capital that's being raised, I think people think like, oh, the majority of capital must be raised on public markets, but in actuality, it's probably 50-50, right? There's 50% of capital is raised, on Wall Street, right? Where the other half of it is private capital, and the majority of that is through Regulation D. So I found it kind of interesting that we didn't really learn that much about Regulation D in law school.
Did you? It doesn't sound like, and I know what you do, but it doesn't sound like in your explanation you go to court very often, stand in front of the judge, in front of the bar. No.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're transactional attorneys, right? So for those that don't know, there's litigation attorneys that practice, go to court and argue cases. And then the other side of that is transactional attorneys like us who, work on transactions.
Did you ever think you wanted to be a litigation attorney?
I did actually. I took a class called Pretrial Civil Litigation. And it was fun, it was fun, like arguing cases, and the whole process of it, right? Like, it's very, I guess it's not boring, right? Like there's always something new and exciting about litigation. So, but for me, at least, I mean, I'm not very good at public speaking. I hate public speaking. So that, like, I don't know. I think, transactional side of law definitely fits my personality more. So,
yeah, I understand that. So today you spend all of your time working on deals that clients bring to us and mentoring the clients and doing the paperwork and seeing that they get off and running in their money raising, and right down to the point of when they close the deal. You coordinate with Dave, our operations manager, the filing of the Form D with the SEC and the filing of the state notices. So it's a lot of work. Takes a lot of time. Takes 3 or 4 weeks to do an offering from start to finish, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But isn't it fun when repeat customers come back?
Yeah, I mean,
when they come back to you again, it's so nice. It's gratifying.
Yeah.
And I guess I was going to ask you that question. I kind of screwed that up. What's gratifying about the job?
Well, it's just, the relationships, right? The people that we meet, our repeat clients, right? Like some of them have done, 5, 10 deals already with them. I've only been an attorney for 4 years. And some of these people I would consider my friends. But not only that, going to events, working in real estate is so much fun, right? We get to travel, we get to meet new people every day. We get to work virtually, remotely, set our own hours.
Yeah,
which
we're
is
working
great.
virtually now, aren't we? There's no doubt about that. Well, that's good. That's a good story. So a lot of people who go to law school come out of law school and they really don't have this is my impression, they really don't have an idea of what they want to do, because my recollection was law school taught you all these classes you need to know so you could pass the bar.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really training for a job. It was pass the bar. And then you went off, you're a perfect example. You went off and got an internship in a real estate syndication company. And by God, that's what you're in. You're not doing divorce law or criminal law. So I would think that some of the attorneys are out there, people are out there in law school who might be listening to this or thinking about going to law school, can say this is a path. This is a good, clean path. No courtroom experience. Very few securities attorneys get shot by their clients, like you might if you be a family law attorney, and so that's fine. And it really isn't, my experience. It really isn't all that stress filled of a job. Some of the attorneys we work with, Jonathan, who handle the loan documents and work for the banks and getting the loan closed, I can't tell you how many of those attorneys have said to me, I'm up till 2 or 3 in the morning making my hourly wage so that this deal can close tomorrow and I'm on a deadline. We don't really have that much of a pressure deadline because our work is done 3 or 4 weeks before the loan closes. We might have some last minute things. Maybe there's a last minute addendum or whatever, but our work is all pressure filled right away at the beginning. So we get the documents out to the clients so that they can start raising money, and then it kind of calms down. Isn't that the way you feel about it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I never feel like I'm under any amount of stress, honestly. I mean, I do get stressed, but not to that level where, you have to, first of all, hit those deadlines, but also at a normal firm, like a big firm, you have billable hours that you have to reach every week, right? Which, I'm super lucky that, I found you and I'm working with Eugene, because I couldn't imagine my life working at a big law firm trying to work 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week, trying to hit my billable hours. That seems crazy.
We don't do billable hours, and we never have. I've never done that in my experience, and I knew that worked for me. So I was interested to hear you say that you don't feel like you're ever under any pressure. Is that the truth when the phone rings and it's me?
No, Gene, I love it when you call me. I mean, you call me every day, which is
I know. I'm like that. I'm like that. Well, your path and my path getting into this, we're a little different. I've kind of had 3 careers in my life. My first career was as a commercial broker. Well, no, it was as a real estate broker. I graduated from the University of Minnesota and an accounting degree, and I wanted to be a salesman. And in those days, if you weren't an engineer, you couldn't sell a computer or an airplane. So about the biggest thing that I could sell in dollar value was a house. And so I started out selling houses in Minnesota, and those rascals were, $25,000 to $35,000, and the commission, maybe if you sold one, you might have gotten $600-700, which was a lot of money back in those days. But I wasn't particularly good at it, and I didn't think it matched what I knew about accounting and balance sheets and income statements. And I was at an event once, and one of the fellows at the event asked me if I had heard about the CCIM program. And I said no, and he told me about it, that it was education for commercial real estate, people who wanted to work in commercial real estate. So I went off and signed up for the first one, CI 101. And I remember, Jonathan, you took CI 101. Did you take it from me or from Carmela?
No, it was, shoot, I don't remember his name. It was like one of those blended courses where half of it was online.
Course. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyhow, took CI 101 where you learn that IRR and all that financial stuff. And I love that. And I rushed through the CCIM program, took all the courses. And then decided that I would give up selling houses and start concentrating on commercial real estate. So I did that for several years. And so that's the first part of my career, maybe 7 years in being a broker. And then we moved to California. And in moving to California, I thought I would pursue something that I had just done once or twice in Minnesota. Along with my friends, we bought a couple small apartment buildings, and I put the deals together. I managed the property, I raised the money, and I kind of liked that. So when I came out to California, I thought that's what I would do. I would be a syndicator. And so, for 13, 14 years, that's what I did. I was an actual syndicator. My first deal was a mobile home park, and I didn't like managing senior mobile home parks. That wasn't going to work. And I tried 1 or 2 deals on apartments, and I didn't like managing apartments. So one way or another, I got into an arrangement with a contractor who could pour concrete. And we decided to build storage facilities, self-service storage facilities. And we got an arrangement with Public Storage that if we went out and found the dirt that they liked and built a building to their specifications and got it 50% rented, they would buy it from us, because at those days they weren't building their own projects. So we did that. So I ended up doing 14 partnerships with 2 properties in each partnership. So we built 28 self-storage facilities down here in Southern California in the 3-county area. And it was an interesting job. And I was raising money through the broker-dealer community, which was kind of a head trip, because I would take my offering to the licensed representatives, and if they liked it, they would sell it to their clients. And I barely met any clients. My clients really were the registered reps, the Series 7, the certified financial planners, the registered investment advisors, and they had the relationship with the clients. And I was ideally suited to go in there and talk to those guys in my suit and everything. It just worked for me. And all of a sudden, I'm at a point where this one year I sent out, and I remember the number, 1,676 K1s. And Jonathan, I spent 3 months licking stamps and sealing envelopes and sending reports out. And I had maybe 10 different companies who were raising money for me. And the biggest company, the company that got me started, came to me and said, you don't raise money on really big deals. By the time we get our due diligence done and we're ready to raise money for you, the other companies that are faster have already sold everything. So we'd like you just to bring products to us, and we'll be your only company. And of course, they only work on what's called a best efforts basis. So they would require me to go out and tie up the property and use all my money to get it going, and then take it to them, and hopefully they'd raise money. Well, that seemed pretty risky to me. And my strategy had always been that I had a certain amount of money. And so when I started a project, I knew I could complete the project just with my own money. And at the time, it was about $2.5 million. And so I'd go out and I'd find a project, and I'd do all the due diligence I needed. I'd go to the broker-dealer community, and they'd say, well, what happens if we don't raise enough money in time? And I'd say, that's fine. I can close the deal, and then you can backfill, which is the term. And so they thought that was great. Well, another thing that this company said to me, other than we want you to provide us product and we're the only one who's going to sell it, we want you to raise more than $5 million at a time. And so that challenged my model. Whether I had 5 million or didn't have 5 million, it wasn't terribly important. I wasn't going to put everything at risk to do these projects when they're only giving you best efforts, and I've got $5 million committed. So one day I went home and Kay and I sat around the kitchen table where all the great decisions in life are made. And I said, I need to either grow this business. I'm going to have to hire more people. I'm going to have to get a bigger office space. To do $5 million raises and do all this is a lot of risk. I think I'll quit doing that. And I think I'll go to law school. I always wanted to go to law school. And this is a great time for me to go to law school. And I'm only going to go for one reason. So I can be a syndication attorney, a securities attorney when it's over. Because all these securities attorneys I work with, they've taught me a lot. And I can do that job better than they can because I know both ends of it. So in one 25-minute conversation, I went back and I called the company and I said, I've just decided to shut down the business. I won't be bringing anyone any more offerings. And I had about 6 or 7 years of deals that were out there where I was going to collect fees and my ownership was going to pay off. And so I had a steady stream of income. I had 2 kids in grade school and my wife was working full time. And at 45, I went off to law school, 45 years old. And first semester in law school, first quarter, whatever it was, I went to career night. And I thought for sure that with my experience, my real world experience, when I got out of law school, some big law firm would hire me in their syndication department. What I found at career night is there's age discrimination in the recruiting of attorneys, because all they want is, like you said, Jonathan, they want someone to come in and work 100 hours a week and pay them dirt. And that just wasn't going to work. And I said, no, I don't think so. So I knew from day one I was going to be a sole practitioner. I knew it. So I planned the rest of my law school experience gearing up for being a sole practitioner. And in my last semester, I took a class on starting your own practice. And part of the class was a business plan. You had to go out and find an office location and put a budget and all that together. And I did that, and I took the bar, and by God, I passed the bar the first time, just like you did, Jonathan. And now I was stuck. Now I passed the bar, and now I needed to do something with it. So I went back, and that office space was still available. And I pulled out my business plan and put it to work. And really the rest is history. I just started using my process of education-based marketing, and I started teaching real estate people about syndication and my experience and what I had done, and built a career. So in 2008, I was doing pretty well on my own, but my business was growing, and I ran into a lady, Kim Taylor, and she became a contract attorney with me for a couple of years, and then my first partner. And then while we were partners, we ran into Jillian. We were always at the same events and competing with each other. So Jillian joined Kim and myself, and our firm was Trowbridge, Taylor, Sidoti. And not too long after we started that, Kim decided to leave California for income tax reasons and lifestyle and moved to Florida with her husband. So then it turned out to be Trowbridge, Sidoti. And we did that from, 16 through the beginning of 2020. And then one reason or another, it just decided it was good that we split. Jillian has some goals on what she wants to do at the law firm, and she's 30 years younger than I am. And I have some goals I want to do in the last 5 or 6 years that I work, and they weren't compatible. So we bid our farewells and we're on our own. And now it's back to where I was before 2014, 2008, Trowbridge Law Group with a partner. And I'm loving it. We've got a staff. We all work together. It's an interesting time to start a business, Jonathan. COVID and working virtually and everything. But I think it's going to be great. You might not know that, but Jonathan just got married and he's going to move to San Francisco in the next month. I'm down here in Orange County, our public relations lady lives in LA. Our marketing lady lives in Nashville. And our systems manager and our operation manager live down by San Diego in the Murrieta Temecula wine country. So when we started Trowbridge Law Group up, we knew we would be all working virtually and not have an office. And here we are. And I think this is great. So that's how we got to be there. 3 careers for me: real estate broker, real estate syndicator, and syndicator. If I had gone to law school 20 years earlier, Jonathan, I would have wanted to have been a litigator.
Really?
Because I like to be on the podium. I like to do that. I like to think like that.
I can see that.
But on your own, right away, the first 3 things I did is I helped my wife out with some friends of hers who were getting divorced. And I went to court 3 times in family law court on the basis, and I should have shot myself. I thought, well, that's just absolutely terrible. I'll tell you one funny story, then I'm through. I got a guy. Now we're in civil court. Jonathan, you'll appreciate that. I'm in civil court. Mm-hmm. We're in a divorce trial. And I got a guy, the ex-husband, to plead the 5th on the stand when I got a hold of his financial records. And I realized that he'd been lying. And so he pled the 5th. And the judge looked at me, and the judge knows I'm a new attorney because he knows what my number is. And he said, well, what do you think about that, Mr. Trowbridge? And in all my legal education, I said to the judge, well, if I'd been lying as much as he has during this whole trial, pretty soon I would have pled the 5th too. And which is totally bull. I mean, we're in a civil court and the guy pleads the 5th, which is a criminal deal. And I should have known the difference, but I didn't. And, I won that case really big for my client. And then that's the last time I've been in front of the bar as an adversary. So that's my history.
Should we expand our practice areas to family law?
No. No. We don't want to do that. Now, you and I have talked about expanding our law firm and bringing some other attorneys in who might do something other than just securities law. But I don't think litigation would be the let's just push papers. Okay. Let's be a transactional attorney. Yeah. So, Jonathan, do you have anything else to add? I think we're just about out of time here.
Well, I just want to say, like, the whole point of this, I guess, podcast is to show collectively, the key word is collectively, that our firm has a lot of experience in syndications, right? Not just the legal side of it, but actually, in the real estate, in the deal aspect side of it. So,
for my years as a syndicator, and then all the years I've been doing this now from the legal side for 27 years, collectively, I've been involved in over $5 billion worth of equity raises and a lot of clients and a lot of deals. So I've seen a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's helpful when we have the homework call from the investors, from the syndicators who just want to talk about doing this. I feel very comfortable in taking that call and discussing things with them. That's good. All right. So everyone should remember that every Thursday at noon, California time, we'll be doing another episode of TBD with TLG. The topic is always to be determined at the last minute, and the Trowbridge Law Group with Jonathan and myself are happy to have you with us, and I hope you join us the next time.